third and final tutorial video for the 8x8 album Let's Go Camping. We will be making our page set 3, finishing our inside, front, and back covers, and adding the pages to the album. For the front of page set 3, which is our last page set, we need 2 pieces of cardstock that are 7 by 7.5, and we're going to score the 7.5 side at a 1/2 inch on both pieces. The 7.5 at the top, score at a 1/2 inch. Okay. Then we're going to need 1 piece that is a 5 by 6. We're going to put the 5 at the top, and we're going to score at a 1/2 inch. Okay. Then we're ready to go ahead and fold and burnish those pieces. Oh, I have one more. I forgot it because I didn't write it down. We need 2 small pieces out of the scraps that are 2 inches by 3.5. And we're going to score that 3.5 inch side at a 1/2 inch on just one of these. On each of these, I'm sorry. Score at a 1/2 inch on both of the 3.5 inch sides on both pieces. Okay, so like that. So just need 1/2 inch score there. And then go ahead and fold and burnish your score lines on all the pieces. Okay, so now we're ready to cut our pattern papers and get this started and get it put together. I'm going to work on my closure pieces first. These are going to be tags that go across, and then we'll have a string closures on those. So I want to angle punch the 2 ends on each flap opposite of the scored section. So I'm using my angle. You can use your scissors or whatever you have. I just wanted this angle look like this. So you could cut one or measure with your ruler if you don't have an angle punch. Or if you have maybe some kind of tag punch, that would work. And you're also going to want to do your papers. So my pattern papers, 2 pattern papers and 2 of the solids are cut at 2 7/8 wide by 1 7/8 tall. So I have these the tints. So you want to look at these and then also punch or cut the angle on each of these. And 2 in the solids that are the same size, 2 7/8 wide by 1 7/8 tall, and just angle punch one end on these. So this is for the back side. Now, because we're having a string closure, we don't need a magnet on this side of the page for page set 3 on the front. So we do need some circles punched out of some of your scraps of paper, and have the brown. See if there's a print I want to use. We have the stars. So I have all my scraps in a bag. I'm going to use the green with the trees, I think. I need 2 punched. I have a 1 inch circle punch. You can use a 3/4 inch if you don't have a 1 inch. So I'm punching out of pattern paper 2 circles. And then out of my cardstock scraps, I want 2. I like to make them thicker so they don't bend, but I do want the pattern paper on them. So I took a scrap of the navy cardstock and punched 2 holes. This is to make our string closure. Okay. Now you could do a string closure on all your pages if you don't want to do magnets, or you could use ribbon, but you'd have to plan ahead as to what where you want to put, make sure you put your ribbon on. So I'm using brown jute string, which is the button string. It's the thinner string. You can order this from Country Craft Creations. I cut off about 1 yard. And then we need a hole punch. Normally I use my big hole punch, this one, but for some reason the big hole has decided to not punch all the way through. So I don't know why. I have another We Are Memory Keeper punch. So I have this one here that I'm going to use. You also need 2 brads, and I'm using the large size. So I'm going to pattern the front first. I'm just thinking to make sure I do it right. So put this on the front first. So I want my brad to go through the whole thickness here. Get this done. Once this closure is made, the patterning and putting the pages together, the pages and flaps together, should go by pretty quick. Okay. Okay, so let's take one of our circles and we're going to see where we're going to put it, about right there. And I'm just going to lay it there. First I want to layer, I'm going to go ahead and glue the pattern to the cardstock. I think this will punch through, hopefully. I'm so used to my other hole punch. Having it, we'll go through lots of thicknesses, including chipboard. So I'm going to lay this here, and I'm just going to punch a hole. Try to do it so I can see what I'm doing. This is quite different. So I need to see I've got the same amount. It's hard. Oh, no, that didn't work. And now we're going to do it different. We're going to do a brad piercer, because I can't see the line in it. That's what's so great about the other one. So let me remake this one real quick. So I've remade that one that I messed up, which also messed up my tag, but that's going to hopefully be able to hide that. I'm going to put some tape on that to fix it, because you're not going to see it. Let me grab some tape right quick. I have to fix that hole. This is thinner tape. I ran out of my wide tape, but that's okay. So just going to put a piece of tape here on both sides. And that should hopefully take care of that mess up, right? Okay, so now we have our circles. That one's going to go there. And I am going to grab my piercing tool. Okay, my Tim Holtz piercing tool. So you don't glue this down. You're just going to hold it where you want it to go. I have a foam block here that I use with flowers. I'm going to press it on here, and I'm just going to go all the way through in the center. And because it's an extra thickness, I really have to go through it. And then I'm going to take my brad and work that through that hole. So this may be better than doing the bigger hole. I have it all here. I just need a little bit, the tip of it a little bigger. Get that big brad through there. And then we open up the prongs on the back side here. And then we do the other one the same way. I'm going to kind of make sure they're matching up pretty good in position. I'm just going to use the big one, I think. This is an awl tool, like from Harbor Freight. I need a small hole first. Then the tip of the bigger one can go in there. Okay. Now, the other brad. And I'm using Tim Holtz, kind of a goldish brass looking, whatever you have in the, and I think the bigger one works better, but whatever you have for a brad. And then we open that up. There we go. So now we're ready to put our back paper on. So it doesn't matter which sides. This is going here. I'm burnishing that with my fingers because of the brad on the other side. It's kind of hard to do it flat. Now we get this one done. And then we're ready to add the string, but I think I'll put them all together onto the book before I add my string. Okay, so those are ready. So let's get our page set. 3 base page. And make sure your openings are to the side. And I'm going to put these on first, on the side, wherever I want them to sit. So I'm going to kind of center them, kind of eyeball them. Put one down, and then you put the other one down to match up. And there is a pretty good space between the two. I'm going to use my ruler to make sure I'm lining it up pretty good. Glue on that 1/2 inch, back of that 1/2 inch attachment flap. Turn that over. Put these straight. And line it up on the right side, along the edge of the page. Burnish that down. Now that's your closure piece. Now all the flaps are going to be building up on the inside. So let's go ahead and put our pattern papers on our flaps. I've chosen this one for inside the main page. We don't want to put that on until the flaps are on. And this one is a 7 3/8 by 7 3/8. I'm going to set that one aside for now. And this first flap, this will go on the top. This is once it's folded down, your 4.5 by 6.5 flap. So the pattern paper for it is, sorry about that, 4 3/8 wide by 6 3/8 tall. I'm putting this green one here on the front. Burnish, flip it over, and it is going to attach to the right. So I'm going to put this wood piece here, same size, 4 3/8 wide by 6 3/8 tall. That flap, and that goes to the, it doesn't matter right or left because of the direction, but I'm going to do it that way. Then we take one of the bigger flaps, which should be a finished size of 7 by 7. So we have 2 pieces of pattern paper for the fronts that are cut at 6 7/8 by 6 7/8. And I'm going to use the badges. So I'll put glue on this side. Making sure my attachment flap is to the right. Finish that on. So that's the front side of that one. I'm going to use the wood on this one. So make sure your flap is to the left. Okay, so now for the back side of these, make sure they're facing the correct way when you flip them over, so that puts your flaps here in the middle. And I'm piecing these, so we need 2 that are 6 7/8 wide by 4 1/2, and 2 that are 6 7/8 wide by 2 3/8 tall. So besides the badges, I think I'll put the badge here and the wood here. So you can put it top or bottom, whichever you want. I'm going to put the wood here on the bottom. And then this one here at the top. Now I'm going to look at it, and I've cut it, but I see that I need to trim off a little bit because I want a little bit of this cardstock in the middle. So we're actually going to trim that down after we dry fit it. Let's see. So I trimmed probably about 1/8 off, and that works. So now I'll have to do that on both of them. But I like to cut it a little bit bigger until I know for sure what I need to trim down. Okay, that one. So this one goes here. And we're almost finished with our putting our pages together, and we can put them in our book. So we got the back of the page set 3 to do yet, and it's a really easy one. Okay, at least I think so. They're all pretty easy. I don't think anyone would have trouble with them. Let's trim this down just a tiny bit. A little bit more. Okay, that's good. Burnish. Okay, so now we're ready to put our flaps on. Bring back our page. And this one on the left is going to go more to the top. So glue goes on the 1/2 inch attachment flap on the back side, on the where it's folded towards the page. You just have to stop and visualize how it's going to attach down, and let's line that up. And make sure it's lined up at the top of the page. Burnish that. And then the other one's going to go more towards the bottom. So I'm going to open this up. It's out of the way. Glue on the 1/2 inch attachment flap. This one that's going to attach down. And I said more to the bottom. Right along the edge of the page. Make sure the bottom is lining up. Okay, so that goes like that, like that. Oh, you know, I did it again. I'm going to gently lift this up, the flap. I need to put my other flap on first. It's not quite set yet in there in that glue. So again, I apologize. My brain is not thinking really well. So I've lifted that one up. Because this one I'm going to put, let me see how they look. It to the bottom. So I put glue on the back side of this attachment flap. This one should have gone down first. But it's okay because I was able to lift it up. So this one goes here on the bottom edge. Okay. And burnish that. And then we reattach the other one on the inside. So I'm going to make sure this burnishes down really good. This one goes on top of that flap there, towards the top. Okay. Glue on the back side of this hinge, attachment flap. And it is kind of roughed up there where I pulled the glue up, but it's not torn. And this goes right up here, and so it covers it all up, and we're fine. And burnish it really well. Now we're ready for our main piece that goes right here. Again, that's the 7 3/8 by 7 3/8. And before we put these in, let's go ahead and finish that string closure too on the front of this. And of course, make it. Okay, once we burnish that in, then we'll do our string. Finish that, and this flap here, just burnish it to make it lay down flatter once it's got that thickness in there. And then this goes like that. And we burnish this one here to make it lay down better, as well as this one. And there they are. So now we're ready to do the string. So I like to kind of wrap to the right. So I'm going to put the permanent one here. I'm going to bring it under, bring it up, and I'm going to tie this one. Just pull it in there onto the brad, get it tied. And sometimes I like to do 2 to make sure it's secure. 2 knots. Okay. And then I'm just going to trim this off short underneath so you can't see it. Now then, I know a yard's plenty, but I wanted to make sure. So I'm going to go under, over the top. I like to do it a couple of times. See how well I like it. And bring it around. One more. I like it real rustic looking here. Okay. Now then, I'm going to tie a knot. Maybe a couple of knots. That one disappeared. In the end of this. Right there. Do another one. I like them kind of thick right there. So I can see it. Pull that, then trim that off. So this can fray. And so you have that. That's going to hold it down like that. So that is our tag closure. Okay, I have all my papers laid out for the back of page set 3. There's not a lot of scoring on this one, so let's do those really quick. We're going to make 2 booklets, and to get the size that I wanted, we're going to make hinges to put them together. So you need one piece that is 1 inch by 6.5, and we're going to score the 1 inch side, put the 1 inch at the top, and score exactly at a 1/2 inch. That's scoring in half. Then you have one that is 4.5 by 1, and we're going to score the 1 inch side at a 1/2 inch also. Okay, so let's move the scoreboard out of the way, then go ahead and fold these and burnish. And as we do with regular flaps, do it both directions so that it's got a good fold. And back to the way it was. So I fold and burnish once, fold it the other way completely, and then fold it back to the way it was at first and finish that off and burnish all sides. Okay, so then we have 2 pieces of cardstock that we cut. Well, actually we have 4, all the same size. Cut 4 that 4.5 by 6.5, but they're going to be different orientations. So one of them is going to be for your portrait photos, and one's going to be for your landscape. So what you do is you take your hinge here, and we put glue on one side, the back side, okay? And then we're going to take one piece of the cardstock, and we're going to line this up so that the fold is on the edge. This hinge right there, I want to fold it down so I can see it and get a real nice and straight, and burnish it down. Then with it folded down, the hinge is folded down, put your glue on that attachment flap on that hinge, and then we're going to attach another piece to it. There we go. And then burnish that one. So this creates a booklet. Make sure you get it on straight. I'm checking my sides here. Right in here. I'm not good. There we go. It's a little better. Okay, and burnish it down. So that creates a photo booklet like that. Okay? And then we take the other side. This time it's the short piece, so we put glue on the back side of the hinge. And attach the other one. Just make sure it lines up. Okay, and there's the booklet for that. Now, of course, depending on your photos, if you needed to, you could do it that way. But you have the option of having 2 for landscape photos in a booklet for your horizontal, or your, not horizontal, but for your portrait photos. And I'm just going to straighten this up. This one had a little bit of crooked here, so I'm just going to burnish it some to straighten that out. Okay, so those are ready. Now let's grab our page. So this is the front of page set 3. We're going to turn it so that we have the top here at the top. Take your main piece. We don't have to worry about any flaps on this. This is your 7 3/8 by 7 3/8. Let's go ahead and put that down. Okay, now we're going to make a flat belly band, a wide flat belly band. So we have a piece of cardstock that is 3 inches by 7.5, and then our pattern paper is 2 7/8 tall by 7 3/8 wide. So we're going to glue this on. I'm going to use the stars, and I realize I haven't used any of the stripes, so maybe I'll use that on some tags or something. But I really wanted the stars for this particular piece here. There we go. So let's glue this one on. Okay, now to do the flat belly band, we simply just glue it on each short end and attach it to the page wherever we want it. So we put a line of glue right here on the short ends. Turn it down and just attach it wherever you want to put it on the page, kind of centered, or, you know, lower on the bottom or a little higher up on the top, whatever you want. And we burnish that. And while that's drying, we'll work on our booklets that tuck inside. Okay, so I did put down 6. I'm really running out of paper, but I want 8 pieces here. So I'm going to change that to 8, and I'm going to pull in a different cardstock. So I'll add that to the supplies. So I'm going to grab that. We're going to do from pattern paper. I have enough for 2, 3, 4 pattern papers. And then the Echo Park solid, I have enough to cut 2. Actually, I have enough to cut 3. And then from regular cardstock, and I'm going to change the color, and I'll share what I do in a minute. We cut 1. And these are all 4 3/8 by 6 3/8. 4 3/8 by 6 3/8. Okay. Okay, so for these booklets, this one's that way, this one. So I cut 2, 2 that are 4 3/8 wide by 6 3/8 tall of the patterns, 2 that are 4 3/8 tall by 6 3/8 wide, and the my colors, I picked out my colors in the Cafe au lait brown, which I think will work. I did 2 of these 4 3/8 by 6 3/8, and 2 of the Echo Park Let's Go Camping solids that I had, 2 that are 4 3/8 by 6 3/8. So that's what I decided to use on my booklets. Okay, so I have all my papers cut. Let's get to gluing. Make sure you're putting it on the right direction. You don't want it upside down if you're wanting this for your front. So I've put it here. With the trees in the correct direction with my fold here on the left. I'm going to turn it over, put my back side on. Of course, I'll be putting some decorations on it. So I'm going to open up. Let's do the inside. I'll do the blue and the red over here. So I'm going to do the brown in this one. By putting these in, it kind of helps finish off where these hinge lines are. Make sure you don't go over your fold though. If you're using the My Colors, pay attention. If you want the texture to be on the outer part, put your glue on the back side where the smooth is, and vice versa. If you want smooth, then put your glue on the textured side. Okay, there's that one, and this will go. Of course, I will add probably cut aparts and different things on this when I'm doing the decorating. So that goes there. And with a flat belly band, it holds pretty good. Once you get both of them in there, it's going to hold. So this one's going to be for my landscape photos. So I want the sleeping bags here on the front. There's some really cute cut aparts with this collection, so I think you'll be happy, and the stickers with the decorating. Whoops. Doesn't really matter which direction you go on these little sleeping bags because they're going every which way. Okay, and then we turn it over. I've got the fold, that hinge side to my left. So then I turn it over, it's to my right. This one doesn't matter. It doesn't have a lot of, it doesn't have an up and down, so it's okay. Okay, now open it up. Let's do the inside. So I did both brown on that one. I think I'll do both red on this one. Okay, after this, we're going to make some elements, flaps and elements for the inside cover and back cover of our album. Before we add the pages in. Okay, there's that one. And so this one just tucks in under that belly band too. There we go. Okay, so that is page set 3. Now let's work on our inside covers, the front and the back. For the inside of the front cover, I have cut 5 pieces of cardstock that are 7 inches by 4.5. I'm going to score all mine the same, 7 inches at the top, and I'm scoring at 1/2 inch on all 5 of mine. Now on mine, if you want these for, which I will probably do, I'll look at my pattern papers. If you want these for portrait style photos, then you can attach these at the bottom or the top of your page. I'm going to move my school board out of the way here just a second and go ahead and fold and burnish all these flaps. And I'll show you what I mean about the different directions. So I've cut 5 pieces of pattern paper. Now, they're all going to be 6 3/8 by 4 3/8. The number that you cut out in which orientation, these 2 here, I cut 2 at 4 3/8 tall by 6 3/8 wide. These I cut at 4 3/8 wide by 6 3/8 tall. This one could go either direction unless you use this side here. So I'm going to do 3 for the portrait styles and 2 landscape. Now I am running out of paper, so I may have to use more brown my colors to do the inside. I have not cut anything for the inside. If you're wanting to cut for the insides, cut 5 more that are the 6 3/8 by 4 3/8. So here's what these look like. I'm going to go ahead and speed up the camera and add my pattern papers. So if you're doing landscape style, it depends on where you want your hinge. Do you want one on the left and one on the right? So I'm going to do it this way. I've got this one to the right and this one to the left. And then the same on these. If you want these portrait, like I would put this one at the top, maybe this one at the top, turn this over so it's the right direction. So your hinge is at the top, the ones you want to put at the top of the page. And if you want one on the attached to the bottom, put the hinge down to the bottom. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. And it depends on how you want to lay out your inside back cover or the orientation of your photos. And there's one other thing, because I decided after I put my pattern paper in my album to do these, you're going to see that the attachment flaps are not under the finished paper of the inside cover. But that's okay. We're not going to stop that, because sometimes you may decide to add something to your album, and I'll show you how I'm going to handle that in just a bit. Let me get some paper cut for the insides of these, and I'll see what colors I have available. Okay, so I didn't have enough of the brown in my colors, so I went with red artisan cardstock, and I think that's going to look great. So I cut 5 of these that are 6 3/8 by 4 3/8 for the inside of my flaps. So I'm going to go ahead and put these on. Okay, so we got those ready. Now, actually, because this doesn't need to cover up anything, if you don't want to put that extra cardstock in there, you don't have to, and just leave it for your pictures. So that is also an option. So let's grab our book. We open up the cover. Like I said, I've already put the paper here before I decided to do that, but that's okay. I'm going to go ahead and do that anyway. And I'm just going to lay these out in different places. Like, see, they're going to overlap, okay? And I haven't planned for any type of closure, actually. So I'm going to put this one down here. They're going to be kind of like that, and I'm hoping that everything will just kind of lay in there and there won't be a problem. If I need to, we can put a closure piece. So let me think about that. We would put one on the side here, probably with a magnet, or we could do the string again if you like that. So I think I'll do a magnet, like a type of belly band. So hang on just a second and I'll get that for you. Okay, so for the closure, I cut 2 pieces of cardstock that are 2 inches by 6, and I scored the 6-inch side at a 1/2 inch for the attachment into the cover, just like this. And they are going to overlap quite a bit. So we're not going to add pattern paper to the inside of this left one and this one. So I think I'll just go ahead and put these on without adding my pattern paper, which I did cut 4 pieces at 5 3/8 wide by 1 7/8 wide. So I'm going to put these in. This one with this attachment to the left. Okay, so put my glue on. And I'm just going to kind of center it, I think. Just kind of eyeballing it and letting it lay wherever I think the center is. It doesn't matter if it's accurate, as long as the 2 pieces across from each other are the same. And don't get it in the fold of your cover, okay? Glue on the flap. So I'm going to line it up here and make sure it goes to the end of that pattern paper I have on there. And you want to make sure it's lined up down here all the way across, and burnish. Now, however you want to open it, do you want to open it this way or this way? I think I'm going to put it here. So I'm going to put a magnet. I have a magnet set. I'm going to put it on the inside of the right piece, about 3/4 of an inch over, and then I'm going to take the backing off, and we're going to close it down onto the left one. Okay, now open it up. I'm going to find some tape. Ran out of my wide tape. I need to get some more. I have some thin here, but I'm going to use that. It'll be fine. I'll just put 2 strips on my magnet to cover it solid. Okay. Okay, now we're ready to put our pattern paper. So I'm going to put the wood here on the front. Now, as I said, this is measured at 5 3/8 wide by 1 7/8 tall. Okay, be sure you burnish around those magnets so it sticks down and you don't have a gap on the edges here. So there's that. I'm going to open it up and put the stars on the inside. Okay, so we put this one on. It's a little more difficult, but we'll get it on there and we'll burnish. I'm going to put my hand underneath so that I can burnish where that magnet is. See right here, you don't want a gap there. So make sure that all sticks down good. So there's the closure. And now we're ready to put our flaps on. So I'm going to put this one down here. This one up here. I'm just laying them out to make sure which ones I put down first. Okay, so I'm going to start with these. I'm going to put one here. So I put the glue on this 1/2 inch attachment flap. Put it down here at the bottom. Make sure it doesn't go over the fold of the book. Stays inside here where this goes over. Okay. And like I said, you can put yours just about anywhere you want to. And don't worry about this. We'll probably cover that with some pattern paper. Oops, this one's going to have to go on this side. And I want this one up here. Pay attention to the directions of your pattern paper that you've already put on. So this one opens to the right with these like triangles that they remind me of a tree. So making sure it's straight up here at the top, doesn't go over this, it still closes, and I'll burnish it down. And we don't cover anything in here until we get everything in. So that's going to look like that. We have 3 more. I'm going to put that one here on the left. Okay. And this one's going to go up here. Now let's see how that looks. So you can lay them any direction you want. And after you put them on, I always like to go along and really burnish that flap. And so we have this one here. Which way do I want it? Okay. So I end up with 3 landscape. So this one I'm going to put down here. So you can arrange them just about any way we want, but these two's got to go like that. Okay, so I like that. Now I need to decide what I'm going to do on the inside to cover up those attachment hinges. And that's pretty much going to be patterned paper, so I'll cut that out. To cover the hinges are the attachment flaps that you can see of the cardstock here on this finished page of not page but cover, inside cover. I have cut 4 cardstock strips that are 3/4 inch by 7 3/4. I have 4 of those. Now I took my Scotch tape and I taped down these areas. So what I'm going to do is make like little short pockets all the way around so things can be tucked in. And I think I'm going to use the blue side. And I need to clean this up just a little bit. Once again, having trimmer nightmares. Okay, so I'm going to put this on the side. I'm going to put the side ones on first. So, whoops, take my glue. And I'm just going to put it along the one edge. Very thin line of glue. So these are 3/4 inches wide. It's going to make like little tuck spots. So I'm going to glue this one in right there. Burnish that. And then the other side, same thing. Just a line of glue. Make sure you don't go over the fold of your flaps, but close enough that it looks right. And burnish that. Okay, for these, I want to do an angle cut. So I'm going to lay this down and get my pencil. I'll lay it down. Come even. Take my ruler from the corner of the piece I'm putting down, mark it up to the top to line up with that other. Make sure I've got it marked where I can see it. There we go. Do the same here. From the point of the piece I'm putting down to where the two join. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and take my scissors and trim this off and put these on. I just like for it to have like kind of like a miter cut. You could make, if you wanted to, you could make a frame out of acetate if you wanted to, or put a shaker in there. That would be cute. Just, you know, make it a frame, box frame here. But I'm just going to make a tuck spot for extra cut aparts, photos, etc. It works. So this one's going to go right there. So I'm laying it over. This one's a little bit too long. I'm going to have to snip a little bit off to make it work right. Okay, so I'm going to hold it down. Take my ruler and draw my line. Both sides. Trim those off and then glue that down. And so I'm gluing. I don't know if I did that on the other one or not. And along the bottom and along the edge of that slant. Let's glue right there. Okay. So, whoops. I put it on the wrong side. I knew I'd do that. Let's wipe that off. Luckily, I don't have much. It's this side. Got myself upside down. Now, I'll put this on. Okay, and varnish that one. I need to check. That is the inside of the cover, and we're ready to work on this one. For my inside back pocket, I'll make some flat pockets. So I have a piece of cardstock here that I cut out at 7 inches by 3.5, and a piece of pattern paper that is 6 7/8 wide by 3 3/8 tall. So this is just going to glue on right there. So let me get the pattern paper on real quick. I decided, since I've already put my back pattern paper on, and rather than trying to cover up hinges on this section, that we did need a pocket. We haven't had a pocket yet, so I'm showing you how to do flat pocket out of some of your scraps, and you certainly can make some for different sections of your album pages if you want to. Then I also made a small one that is 4.5 by 1 5/8, and the pattern paper is 4 3/8 by 1.5, and I'm using the stars, though I haven't used the stripe yet. Maybe I should use the stripe. Yeah, I'm going to use the stripe. Pull that in there a little bit, and this is going to go right on top of the bigger flat pocket. So we add our patterned paper here and burnish that. This would be good places for stickers. And then I'm going to put my pocket a little bit to the right, and you just put glue on the short ends and then across the bottom. So with this stripe, it doesn't matter which one ends up being the bottom, but you do want the glue across the bottom, and then you just position it where you want it here on this pocket, and then we'll burnish it. Okay, and then to put this pocket down, we're going to do the same. We're just going to glue the two short ends and the long bottom. So pay attention to this patterned paper. Make sure I'm getting it on the right edge because it is directional. Okay, and you just stick this down where you want it on your page. I'm going to kind of center it from side to side. It looks like about 3/4 or 1/2 inch from 3/4 from the bottom, I would say. So I'm just going to burnish that edge. Okay, once that's glued on, then we can make tags. Now I've cut this one already. The cardstock's 5 by 5, and then this 4 7/8 by 4 7/8 with some of the solid Echo Park Let's Go Camping cardstock. So I'm just going to glue these together and make me a photo mat for a square photo and slip that in the pocket. So this just kind of has a little bit of a margin of the blue, but it's got the blue on the back. So this is going to slide in here. Okay, so that's all of our pages, flaps, everything's assembled. Next, we're ready to put everything into the book. So I've got my pages, so we'll start on that next. Now we're going to put our 3 patterned page sets into the book onto the hinges, and I've labeled mine so that I would know. I have page set 1, page set 2, and page set 3. Of course, you can put them in any order you want to. You do have to pay attention though, because you have an opening here on both ends that you don't want it upside down. This is the back of the book. I always start with the back. I'm going to take these out and set them aside for now. So I'm going to flip this back. Now, remember we marked the 1/4 inch, and that's where we want that page to stop. We're going to have about a 1/4 inch of the hinge showing. This will help it to lay flatter. Some of these are a little tight. They're harder to maybe get into that, but we're going to work on that just fine. We're going to take part of this tape backing off and peel it and let the tail stick to the left. We're going to work on the last page first, and then pull this one back here as well and let it go to the right. We don't want to pull all of it off at once, and we're going to take my glue, and I'm going to put just a little bit of glue to kind of add some extra strength right along the edge of my score tape, because it was not quite the full width. It was 3/8. So I'm going to open this here at the bottom. I'm going to turn this a little bit, and we're going to fit this open sleeve right over our page hinge, and we're going to slide it on down to where our slanted cut is. Had a glitch in the recording, and I've already attached this one down, but I will show you the next one how I did it. Basically, I just lined it all up, made sure it was in straight, here at the bottom and pull that taping back and burnished it in, and pull the taping back on this side as well. So let me put these booklets back in because I don't want to lose them. Okay, and now we're ready to put in the second page set 2. So pull your tape backing, make that tail to the left on the front side of the hinge and to your right on the back side of the hinge. And then I'm going to take some glue, and where it is kind of not all the way down, because we want about 1/4 of an inch here, I'm putting a little bit of glue to kind of help hold this in, along with the score tape. Okay, so this one is page set 2. Right here, make sure everything, the pattern papers, you're using the correct side that you're putting in. I'm opening it up, and I'm going to turn it and line this up so that it sits down on that hinge to where that cut was. Oops, this side went down a little bit too far. Should fit in pretty close to where it goes. Got some glue where it doesn't need to be. Wipe that off. And then I make sure it's lined up here and here. And then I'm going to press down while I'm holding it up. I'm going to pull this one out, and then flip this over, and we pull this one out, and then we're going to burnish these in. So burnish it in really well, clean off any glue that maybe oozed out, and go ahead and burnish and make sure it sticks down really good. And that's the second one, and we're ready to do the page set 1. Okay, so we'll do the same here on the front one. Pull this tape back, make a tail towards your left, and the back tape towards the center. Okay, and then I'm going to put a little bit of glue right along the base of this score tape on both sides. And I don't do such a great job of keeping it where it belongs, so luckily this dries clear, and I'll just wipe that up where I need to. And grab the page set 1. Make sure that tail is coming back that way. This one, because of its flaps, is a little bit trickier. You do have to make sure that you're getting it for the page. So I'm opening this up. It's really tight in here. Make sure it's the right direction. Some flaps you can open them up to make it a little looser. And then we're going to fit this down all the way to where it stops at that 1/4 inch mark. Like I said, for some reason this one's a little bit snugger, and I think what I'm going to do to help is maybe cut a little more right here to adjust that. Make sure everything's going the right direction here. Now I've forgotten which way is which, so that was this one. Okay, let's fit that over again. I apologize if my arm is in the way. And we want to get that down to that 1/4 inch mark on both edges there. And I'm going to make sure it's lined up. Press this down, pull this tape backing out, and burnish that one. And then flip it, and I've almost lost my tape here. There it is. Grab that with my scissors if I can. Okay, press that down. Go ahead and pull this backing all out. Make sure you get it all out. And then press that page down into that. Okay. Do want to make sure you burnish it really well. You don't want your pages falling out. So there are the pages into the album. So that flipping down, and we have all of this. Now I may have got this one reversed. I'm not positive, but if I did, it's okay. I like these opposite each other. So that is the album constructed. I'll be doing some decorating. If you want to add extra pockets like I did back here, you can add some in different areas like on this one, which I may do. So I'm going to be doing the decorating off camera, and then I will. So there's my 8x8 Let's Go Camping album. This is the basic construction part of the tutorial. I will be doing my decorating on my own, adding in stickers, the cut aparts, different elements. I will have a separate showcase video so that you can see what I've done to give you inspiration and ideas. So here on the front, basically I have the double matting and the same on the back. And then of course we have these different elements here, these flip outs, which are a lot of fun. And you can just keep them for your photos. And they will hold the 4x6 photos. And so here's the page set 1 that flips out like this. And we have it pieced here, and some more flip out like that, and then the big area here. And then on the back side we have a single flip down and a flip up. And the page set 2 flips out this way. So we have several spots for photos here. And I did end up using 1 pack of the large basic gray magnets. And like I said, if you want to add pockets anywhere in this album, you can. You can do the flat pocket style like I showed you on the inside back cover. So we have this one that, and I reversed it because I felt the other one was too close to the edge. So you can change the order of your flaps if you want. You can do it back this way, and then this flips up here for all of this in here. And then of course we just have the string wrap closure here. I did cut this down a little bit. It was a little bit too long. There we go. And then of course I will tell you about these sleeve pockets. And then this is just a belly band where we have the booklet like that, and then one like this that opens to the side. Okay, and then this pocket. This is the flat pocket I was talking about that you just glue the edge to the ends and the bottoms, and you can add extra pockets. So there's room here for different things. And then your sleeves. I have not added any. You will want to cut mats that will go inside the sleeve, so you have 3 sleeve pockets to use if you want to. And so that concludes the basic tutorial for the construction and adding the pattern paper for this album. This is the Let's Go Camping by Echo Parks 12x12 paper collection from Country Craft Creations. I want to thank you so much for watching my video. If you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel. Click like, because the more you click like, then the more this video will go out to other people who might be interested in making albums. It will show up on their YouTube. And then also, when you subscribe, if you haven't already, click the bell. That will tell you when our next video is ready, next projects. I'll be working on something else real soon. And as always, check out countrycraftcreations.com for your crafting supplies, your paper collections, your artisan cardstock, your adhesives, and your ribbons and other things that you might want to use in your album. So thanks so much. I'll have something else for you real soon. Bye-bye.